advisor in government, the local government department was one area I worked in, and one thing that was absolutely clear from local council leaders like you was that, and I agree with this, over the past 13 years, that your funding has been cut. You've been asked to do more and more stuff, especially when it comes to social care, housing, lots of other ways. Are county councils actually ready to do all this, and is it possible for them to do everything that they're being statutorily asked to do? And is bankruptcy actually something we should expect more and more of, because they just run out of money for all the things that they're meant to do and told to do, often by central government or other parts of the law?
Well, if you want a straight, simple answer to your question, the answer is yes. That's exactly where we are. You know, since I've been involved in local government, which goes back to about 2005, you know, I've seen since 2010 more and more cuts to local government funding. Now, there was always scope for some sort of efficiency savings initially, but you can't keep taking money out year after year for 13 years and then actually expect local government to still be able to carry on making those efficiency savings.
Well, Martin, there was a real terms uplift under the former local government secretary, James Brokenshire, who I work for. But I take your point. I absolutely take your point. It's funny, actually, when we don't expect places like Birmingham to actually go into this near bankruptcy, but county councils are something a bit different, aren't they, in terms of what they do? Just remind people who may not know entirely what a county council is. They may vote for councillors but may not know exactly what it is. What does a county council actually do?
Right. So we represent most of the rural areas or suburban areas outside of the big cities. So if you're in somewhere like Birmingham or Nottingham or whatever, you're in what they call metropolitan authorities, and they tend to be councils that deliver all the services within that particular geography. They're predominantly major urban areas. Outside, we normally have one, sometimes two layers of government. So you'll have often a county council that does things like roads and highways, libraries, your waste sites that you'll take your rubbish down to, not the ones that they collect from the doorstep, social care, adult social care, education, children's services, all those sorts of really big strategic...
I mean, that's a load of stuff, isn't it? I mean, we need these organisations to be properly funded. We whinge about local government, we whinge about council tax. I know I love a good old whinge about my council tax, but actually a council is about a lot more than just emptying the bins.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're actually what's called a unitary council, so we do both that and what many people will know as district councils. Yeah. So we've actually got the bin collections, we've got temporary accommodation for homelessness as well. So four things that are just killing my budget, quite frankly. You know, the rise in children's services in terms of safeguarding young people, looking after them, particularly post-COVID. There's been a big increase in the numbers, the complexity of need, and the cost of providing placements for them to make sure they're safe and secure. Adult social care, looking after adults, both the elderly, but also working age adults with special needs. Home to school transport is an enormous cost, again, particularly for children with special needs. And in our case, temporary accommodation for people who are homeless. Now, all of those are services that we are legally required to provide, and we're inspected on. So it's not a question of being able to sort of trim a bit here, trim a bit there. If we don't provide them to the quality the government requires, then effectively we will be put in what's called special measures. So, you know, we're absolutely under the cosh. And those services account for something like 70 to 80% of my council's expenditure. So when I'm knocking on doors and residents say to me, well, what do I get for my council tax? You know, I'm paying £2,000 a year or whatever it is. You know, I reported a pothole this morning and it still hasn't been filled yet. The reality is, you know, it's only about 20% of our expenditure that goes on the things that most people on the doorstep really value. The rest goes on those statutory services that we really have no choice on.
Martin, thank you very much indeed. Speak a lot of sense. Definitely have you on again. Cllr Martin Tett there, County Council Network spokesperson and leader of Buckinghamshire Council. I should declare an interest as well.